Man, welcome back. We are back with another one. Y'all see, I'm always changing backgrounds. I'm always somewhere different. Man, this is the Zone Media. Y'all know what we do. We collaborate because collaboration thrives creativity. Y'all know why we create. We create because we created by the creator. Man, we are here with another Monday with Robert Vaughn. Let's talk. And we got a special guest. I'm going to let Robert Vaughn introduce him because I've already had some conversations with this man and he is a scholar. He understands the business. Even from the small conversation that we've just had, it was super dope to hear him really dive in on some of this stuff. So with no further ado, Robert Vaughn, go ahead, man. Go
Okay.
just introduce
I just want to start. I want to start out with a quick story. I had a opportunity one time. There was Minnesota Fats as a pool player when I was real young. And people would ask Minnesota Fats and say, well, you shoot pool, so what else do you do? What's your job? And he turned around, he looked at you and he say, that's all I do. Well, Michael Bell, branding, singing, managing music, that's all he does. And that's all he's ever done. I've never known him to do anything else. So when somebody says that's all I do, and they've done it for a period of time, they'll probably get pretty good at it. But Michael Bell, aka SC Noir, is an artist, actor, as well as a video producer. He's a writer. He does film, promoter, and a content marketing creator. Those are the few of the hats I think that describe Mike. And obviously, he's an artist. He's a singer. He's been singing for a long time. Very good at it. Made a living doing it. And he's here with us today. We're going to talk a little bit about branding, which I think is very important. And you hear that term thrown around a lot, but not a lot of people can describe to you what the definition is. You know, you can look it up on the internet, but how to actually, what we're going to get into is how to actually take the branding definition and apply it in the real world. In terms of how significant branding is to the independent artists, and particularly if you're an independent artist, and how it's applied. Not so much the theory, but the operation. Like you say, his career extends over many, many years, and he's a wealth of knowledge. I always pick his brain, and fortunately, knock on wood, he hadn't started charging me yet, and hopefully he won't, because I couldn't pay him for all the free advice I get. If without further ado, further hesitation, I just want to introduce to some and present to others, Michael Bell.
Hey, share the love.
That's
share
right.
the love, brother. A, you awfully silent over there. Where you at?
Was that Jones?
Is brother A with us?
No, I don't know if he's with us. If he had to make an adjustment or something, I don't know. He may have fell
so
off.
it's just you.
Yeah, I'm in and out. I'm in and out.
Okay,
I'm in and out.
So, but you with us now, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit about the session. Like last night, you were in the session, and are you doing the production as well, or you're just doing the engineering?
So for this artist, I've been doing production, and I've been also engineering as well.
Okay.
I start with this artist. I've been starting from the beginning to the end. It's been really cool to see that process. Her name is Big Endo. So it's
Big Endo.
Yep.
Yeah, and what is the genre of music?
It's like new age rap is what I could call it.
What qualifies as that new? Is it? I mean, when you say new age, what makes it new age?
I feel like because it's that melodic rap. So it's
okay. I see what you're saying. That's pretty much what they're doing now.
Correct.
Is that you just coined the phrase for it, right?
Yep. That's cool, man. Yep.
That's cool. So when we talk about branding, basically, what do you think branding is?
I think branding is the image of the product or the person. It's everything that the person is. It's your job description. It's who you are. Is what people see before they see you. Your brand is you before you become you. If that makes sense.
Okay, so if I say, give me one sentence that describes your brand, what would you say? Or her brand, what would you say?
Oh, that's a good question. One sentence describing her brand.
Yeah, I'll give you an example of what I mean. Pepsi, the younger generation. Who's cutting out? Is that me?
No, you're still here.
No, you're
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, we're still. Where's Brother A?
I'm here. I'm right here.
Okay. So let's say when I say one line, Pepsi, the younger generation. Now give me a line on the artist that you're working with.
I would.
That one line would be considered the tagline that defines the brand. Pepsi is for who?
The younger generation.
All right. So what they basically did is actually give a philosophy.
Yeah.
Who their product is for.
Mm-hmm.
And also it answers the question, why do we need what you have to offer in our lives? That's what a brand must do.
Y'all make sure y'all get y'all pens and paper. I need mine. He is schooling me already.
Okay. Let's look at that for a moment. Okay. So when we say a brand, you're basically, I'd say, let's do it this way, because this is easy. We can see it in the physical universe. Let's look at Facebook. And let's go back a few years ago when somebody would put up a music video or some music, and you're apt to more watching. You go, oh, let me see this, because it wasn't that much up there. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Today, how many people are pitching music?
Millions.
So with all that on the internet, that would be considered noise.
Yeah.
Because when there's noise, how do you cut through? I'm waiting on the answer.
A recognizable brand, I think, is how you.
Yeah.
Okay. So say for instance, it's all the noise on there, but I go and I say, I'm a great singer. Does that separate me from anybody else?
No, there's a bunch of great singers out there.
Exactly. So we can already conclude that to say what kind of singer you are, description of what kind of artist you are, has nothing to do with branding.
Wow, that's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
okay. Okay, because anybody can say that. Anybody can say my music is great, or the pencils that I have are so different. So with a playing field with so much of the same thing going on, the purpose of branding is to cut through the noise.
Okay.
You got me?
That's good.
You got me?
Yes, sir.
So the first thing that an individual would have to do, even before they do a website or put anything out, they would have to create their brand and their brand philosophy, because everything that they do from that point on would have to be consistent with the brand philosophy. Now, let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at Will Smith, Jay-Z, and those guys and artists that you hear talk about their brand. If you take a look at what they do, let's take Will Smith in movies. Will Smith didn't actually create those movies. The company that he worked for, he represented the brand of that company for the kind of movies that they do. So the physical things that you do is not the brand. It's the visibility of the brand. It's the visibility of the philosophy. It's like my brand, and just to throw something out there, say my brand is spiritual, but then you see me in a picture with a girl that's half clad, and I'm like, you see what I'm saying? That wouldn't be consistent with what my philosophy is based on how we look at that particular thing in religion, right?
Right.
Is that making sense?
Oh yeah, making total sense. Yep.
So when they say branding, that's what they mean, and that is considered, because the internet now is considered the pro-am period. We're in the pro-am period when the pros and the amateurs share the same space.
Okay.
The fact that you're classified as an amateur is not indicative of your talent or what you have to bring. It could be just as good, not as good. You know what I mean? It could be better.
Mm-hmm.
But it means you're classified as that, as an unknown.
Okay.
So the stars are integrating backwards into this period, this media, in the period which we call the Pro-Am. For us, we're integrating forward because it's our goal first to go and capture our audience. It is already said that whatever you do, you already have an audience. They're out there looking for you, and you have to go find them. So,
okay.
Where are they?
Okay.
Well, I'm asking you, where are they?
Well,
where's Brother A? Brother A, where are
they? They're all over. I think your
okay,
audience.
but see, that's not enough. That's not enough, because that's overwhelming to you to say it's all over, because then you'll be taking shots in the dark.
Well, I think you have to find out where your audience is in terms of looking at your data analytics.
Well, here we go.
Yeah.
One thing, even before that, even before you get that, they don't want you to even put anything out to even accumulate data.
Mm-hmm.
The branding is to define who your audience is. When you create your philosophy, you will know who they are, who is attracted to what you are putting out as a philosophy. And then you will begin to search the internet for those sites where they are.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay. Facebook, IG, and all that. You post and keep posting, because there's really no return on that, because you don't own the email addresses.
Okay.
How valuable are email addresses? How valuable are they? In terms of an independent artist, it would be something that would help you in terms of predictability of what you can do. Let's look at let's look at crowdfunding.
Okay.
We're together, and we say, hey man, we need to raise some money.
Okay.
And I said, well, how much do we need to raise? What is the project calling for? Mm-hmm. And you say, well, we're gonna need $150,000. Okay. So how would we predict how much money that we could get when marketing says you get 7% or whatever your crowd is? Okay. So what crowd would we be trying to predict? Would it be the Facebook crowd, our Facebook friends?
Probably not the Facebook friends.
Now that brings me to this point about that before we get to that point, which I'll get back to. Mm-hmm. It is important to know the personality of every site that you are on and what it renders. Okay. Like the personality of IG is different from the personality of Facebook.
Yeah, very different. Okay.
It's very different. So in terms of what you post in content, it would be to that.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? In terms of that. But when we were talking about your audience, everybody, the personality of Facebook to me is this. And I'm gonna show you. Facebook is a self-therapeutic space.
Okay.
That's when the individual can go into the realization of themselves, even if they mock it up.
Okay.
And I'm going to show you how it is a realization space, because if you say something to another individual about their realization, they will say to you, you don't have to like me. You can delete me. You got a delete button. Am I right about it? Am I right?
That's
true.
Space,
right? It's the space where we can be and we're self-absorbed in that space.
Uh-huh.
So when you're on there trying to spin your wheels talking about, and you know, if you look at how things are promoted on there with music, it's indicative of the space. We promote music on there, as a matter of fact. Hey, I got a CD coming out tomorrow, y'all. I might write it out. Am I right?
That's right.
Am I right?
Yeah.
All right.
It's effective too.
That's not effective to say I got a CD coming out. You know that's not effective.
It's effective
everybody in their cousin, they're not interested. Yeah. They're not interested.
It lets your people know, the people that follow you, know what you're doing.
You don't know your people.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm saying to you. And that's the point I'm getting to.
Okay.
First of all, Facebook owns the email addresses.
Okay.
They don't charge you.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to. They have accumulated a large crowd in the space that they can charge different prices to advertisers that wants to come over because of the people that they gather. The dollars go further.
Okay.
So Facebook is your competition.
Mm-hmm.
Because they should be doing the same thing, courting you the same way on your website.
Okay. All right.
This is what branding gets you set up for. I mean, we just going general, going across the space, because I could get into detail, but we'd be here for days. We have to do like a course where this day it'll be this day it'll be that. So,
okay.
so you say, well, I've got 3,000 Facebook friends. All right, so we go on there, and I don't know if you ever seen people trying to raise money on there for a project. I seen them go for funerals, and it didn't do that well. You hear me? You hear what I'm saying? Okay, come on, let's see. Okay, so because what I said, that's a self-realization space.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. It's a self-realization space.
Right.
So if I say, well, we looking for $150,000, I mean, your friends are not going to help us there. But as it is reported, when a person gives you their email address, they have just given you the right to sell to them, to pitch to them.
Okay.
So when I ask you, well, how much money, we're going to have to take a look. Even before we can even say how much we can go after realistically, we would have to look at our email. And if it says all we have is 250, we can forget about the $150,000 we're trying to do through crowdfunding, because those are the people that we would go to. That's the crowd that we know. That's the supporters that we connected to. That's how you find your supporters.
Okay.
Did we talk where we want to go with it now?
Well, I think
so let's get more into
let's
the
get
philosophy.
Like establishing
the philosophy. What is a philosophy? Your philosophy must answer the question why people need what you have to offer. And when you do that, what it has just done, it has put what you have done in a niche market, that even though someone else might do music just like you do, the emotional connection to the philosophy is what makes it different. And today, that's why businesses are looking more for journalists as opposed to marketers, because you have to tell a story to make people attach themselves to what you're doing. Because first of all, a people's attention span is how short?
It's not too long, man. A few seconds, probably.
We've been conditioned. We're on the internet. Think about you on the internet.
Yeah.
Zoom, I go here, I go. So how do you capture? With a story.
Yeah.
With a story, it's all content, and that's what content is. Okay. Content marketing.
Okay. Now, you know what? I got just to change gears for a second.
Okay.
I have a question from Elaine. Elaine's in Long Beach, and she wants to know what would you recommend for an artist who's just starting out in terms of establishing or creating a brand? What sort of steps? She said she's heard a lot about branding, but no one's ever said, hey, this is what you must do. What advice?
How long has she been listening to us? What's her name? Her name is Elaine?
Yeah, her name is Elaine, and she's listened to some of our other shows.
Okay, that's okay. Elaine, how long have you listened? Because I want to hear how much of branding did you hear?
Well, she doesn't. She sent an email in actually. And
okay, cool. Well,
she doesn't.
She'll come back in and deal. Okay, then look.
She doesn't know a lot, but
her
email wants to know what recommendations you would have.
The thing is,
just starting out. Mm-hmm.
The thing, as I said before, with someone just starting out, I think the very first thing that they would have to find out is what their passion is, because that's what you're gonna know. That's what you're closest to, is your passion. And out from there, everything else would extend. In fact, when you're close to your passion, and it'll help you actually create the philosophy of why you do what you do. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
And if you don't know why you do what you do, you know, if someone says, I want to sing to make the world a better place. And so their brand is called Better Place. And then they got a tag on it, like I said, for the younger generation. So when you go to that site, you might find the music that represents that. You'll find the clothing, pencils, or whatever it is. So when you have and it must be clear. So in terms of that, you must be clear on your passion. That is the first thing. Okay. Because if someone's asked you about your passion, you should be able to talk about it. Am I right about that?
Oh yeah, you better be able to talk about it.
If you know your passion. Right. Yeah, I mean, and different people do different things for different reasons. Some guys say, I'm getting in the music business, man, because I want to get me some girls. You know what I'm saying? And if girls is his passion, then he better be over on Pinterest with what he's doing.
How's that old saying go?
What?
You can lose a lot. Let me see. You can lose a lot of money chasing women, but you lose a woman chasing money.
You can wait. You can lose a woman chasing money.
No. It says you can lose a lot of money. No, you can lose. Listen.
Huh?
You can lose a lot of money chasing women.
You can lose a lot of money chasing women,
but you'll never lose a woman chasing money.
I like that. I like that. But now wait a minute. Now, you know, I can pick with that now. Because, you know, sometimes chasing that money might keep you away from mama a little too long.
Yeah, but I just
your priority is money, and you get neglectful. You dig what I'm saying? Yeah. So you just keep a visual on that. I know what they say out there.
But if you want to get in the, I would just suggest to him that if you want to get in the business to get a date, it's a lot easier ways to get a date than getting in the music.
Yeah, business. But I mean, you know, it's people in the.
I know you're right.
You know, it's people in the business for that. Come on now, man. Come on, I'm a realist, and you know, I just gave that as an example. Yeah. And maybe that would be considered a passion. You know, if we take a look at Michael Jackson. You know, if you take a look at Michael Jackson, his image was that of a humanitarian. See, and that's what I mean. That was a philosophy. Michael cares about the world. You see what I'm saying? And when people saw Michael, oh, Michael, you know what I'm saying? They were mostly connected to the brand. That would be his brand. Right. Forget all the allegations, because there's a lot of controversy about that. But as we know, Michael, he was a humanitarian. I mean, let's think, and they always say that image should be larger than what you do. And that's basically what a brand does. When you do your philosophy, because you're integrating forward, it does for you what the companies did for Michael and all Jay-Z and all those that were with those companies. That's why they're backwards. They've already been established that way. And we're going forward. And so it's very important, even you, Elaine, before you even go forward, you have to create a brand philosophy, be close to your passion, know what it is, think about why you do what you do, for the purpose, what is the intention of what you do. You know, and no one can really answer that for you. That's something that you would have to know.
Now, would you say that in terms of creating a brand philosophy, talk a little bit about a mission statement. With a mission statement,
about a mission. Your mission statement, when we talk about, when you talk about mission statements, that's that tagline.
Okay.
For the younger generation.
Okay.
See, that's what the tagline does. I met a guy once, man. I didn't even know that was a job. This guy, I had a meeting with this guy, man, and I think he had made something like $75,000 in 3 months, and I said, "It's a job for that?" That's all he did was because I had no idea. I mean, how many of us sit around coming up with stuff? You know, you never know. And he said, "Yeah, Mike." He said, "A year is not. I mean, it's not always that great, but yeah." And I said, "All you do is do taglines for products?" He said, "Yeah."
Yeah.
for a lot of major companies.
Yeah.
So that goes to show. So, but we have to do what they do.
Mm-hmm. But I think a
so.
mission
So
statement.
here, let me give it to you like this to
Mm-hmm.
sum it all up in a way. So then, therefore, artists today would not look at themselves considering branding, and we're dealing in a visual and audio media. That means then, whether you're an artist or whatever your brand is, your company, consider yourself to be a media company.
Okay. All right.
With the brand that your music comes up under and whatever else you do comes up under. That's what we are, media companies.
All right. All right. Yeah. And that's, you know, I guess at some point you, the advantage of being a media company is that it's easier to extend your brand to something else.
Well, that's what you have to do with every other company does is like diversification.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Puffy, Russell Simmons, music, clothing. And one time I was talking to a guy, he gave me an idea of passing out samples of a fragrance that I would create and would sell under the brand name. So, you know what I mean? When you do a brand name, maybe you want to think about what are the properties that you want to promote and you want to sell, and that may influence you on your brand name. You know, if I did clothing, you know, I'd like to have my company. I wouldn't do it just to say that this works just for clothing. Excuse me. But in considering a name, I mean, whatever if clothing is my strong point, then I'll give it a name where it relates to clothing. It doesn't have to have clothing in it, and it's best that it doesn't, because you're serving the person, you're telling them why they need to have them in your life. Clothing, you know, that's a necessity, but that's not your reason for selling clothing. You understand? You might tell a story how you were poor and you made all your clothing in school, and everybody, you know, it didn't cost you much money to do it. And then you come up with this name and the philosophy of how you got this brand to serve people who don't have much money, but yet and still the clothing is fashionable and it can compete with any other clothing. And we're going to call this the P something clothing. And with that philosophy,
kind of like FUBU,
I'm wearing the P clothing for what it represents.
Kind of like FUBU,
Yeah, exactly what it represents.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's branding.
Yeah.
See, it takes the clothing somewhere else. Yeah. It makes it different. It separates it and put it in the market by itself. That's what branding does. That's why it is a philosophy. It's not, I'm a great singer. Anybody can say that. And I tell you one thing, since we're on that subject, my question to you, if branding is the thing today, do you have to be a great artist to be successful? Does your music have to be great?
Well, I'm gonna answer your question with a question, and to make a point. What's the last hit that Common had?
I couldn't tell you.
Nobody can.
Yeah.
But he's always able to get work. He's always able to
see his image,
his brand.
His image.
That's how strong his brand is, right?
His image, because you know they weren't talking brand. It's the company that he's with.
Yeah.
If you want to talk brand in terms of rappers, what separated Common and put him in a place where the things that he's doing, like movies and stuff like that, because his image was the image of a conscious rapper.
His brand, that's his brand too.
Listen, you can look at that like that, but I can't come on and say my brand is I'm a conscious rapper.
No. Yeah,
that's why I said you can't, when you talk about branding, you can't listen to it how they're doing for people who already established. What company was he with? That's the company that he represented.
I guess my point is this.
Hey, listen what I'm saying. They put out a certain kind of music. Just like look at Babyface and LaFace Records. Tony Braxton, TLC, those artists represented his brand. And it's just like when you know a certain brand of artist, and you're an artist, you say, what I do may fit over here at this company because I see these other artists and they like me. What you're really doing is seeing the brand of that company that signed those artists.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the one thing I don't want. That's the main thing that I bet people get twisted when they hear these established artists say brand. It's not the same.
Okay. Well,
They're integrating backwards. Their action is different. We're integrating forward.
Okay. Let's get back to Elaine's question a little bit though. So she's a young artist starting out.
Yeah,
how does she establish a brand? What would you?
I said it. We got that, and I went back again and said what it is. So once she does the passion thing,
okay,
and define it from there, she'll
go.
So
would you recommend that she do a mission statement, or
you can't do a mission statement if you don't know what your brand is?
Okay,
the brand is the foundation of everything.
Okay.
Yeah, when you talking mission statements, I mean, were you going to get? Is that like a nonprofit organization? It's not.
Well, no, a mission statement would be like, I want to make music to raise the consciousness of people.
But see, this is,
and it doesn't have to be something that's written down.
That goes back to that's the tagline. Pepsi, the younger generation.
Okay, all right.
Now what you're talking about, and I'm glad you brought it up. This is the second half of the branding. Once you know your passion, you have to indoctrinate other people into what you believe about your passion.
Okay.
And that is called brand education. So when you get your people that start coming to your website and what have you, you're sure to post things that further indoctrinate them into the philosophy of what you believe that's going to serve their lives. So you must know. That's why I said your passion, because you must know it.
Okay.
Because they're looking to you.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it makes total sense. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about
artistry.
Artistry and how a brand, how brands and artistry kind of work together, or how they.
When you say artistry, what aspect of artistry are you talking about?
Well, I think in a broad sense.
Well, let's get specific. Well, let's get specific here.
A music artist, a musical artist.
Okay, but we still got to be. We still have to be specific about that. See, remember I said before you do anything, before you put up a website, anything about what you do, because everything has to be consistent with your brand philosophy, you must have the philosophy first.
Okay. All right.
The philosophy is what qualifies the music. The people they won't be relating to, and they might, what lyrics you are saying. What brought them to even hear your music was the attractiveness to the brand. The music is not the brand. The music is the visibility of the brand. The clothing is the visibility of the brand. It's just like if you see my clothing and you got the initials on it, that's my brand, because you see it. But I may have a certain fashion style that makes it my brand and stay consistent with that style, because that's the style that people look at, and I must be able to duplicate it because that's what they become emotionally attached to, not to the philosophy, but the philosophy attached them emotionally. But I also must be aware of my merchandise and what they like about it and the consistency of it. Now, when we talk about an artist today, it's very difficult to say, and I would even bring it into my equation as an artist on what kind of music shall I do. You know why? Because I believe this is the first time in history that an artist can be who they truly are and go get their audience. They don't have to have a label dictating to them what it is they ought to do. They don't have to have an ear to the radio trying to fit in with what's supposed to be the top stuff because that's the commercial. We're in creative space now. Okay. So you're trying to be 100% who you are. And that makes you identifiable. Your brand is going to make you identifiable in the first place, your brand philosophy. But it's nice to be able to have some music that's identifiable. Don't sound like I mean, why sound like somebody else? We got the freedom to be creative now.
Right.
You might come up with something new. Look at Bryson Tiller. Bryson Tiller was putting stuff up on SoundCloud, and I think he was working at UPS. He was having a child, so he was going to be this dedicated father. And he decided to give up the music and just work, get it for prepping for his child. Somebody told him to put up a cut. That cut don't. He put it up, and it went out. See what I'm saying? Yeah. And okay, as an example. And we want to talk about Ryan Leslie. You know about Ryan Leslie, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now.
Super phone.
How many of us have really heard of Ryan Leslie? Not many. But how is he living?
Well, he's living pretty good because
Ryan Leslie did this independent formula. At 1 year, he had 11,000 supporters, and he made $250,000.
Well, he knows where his fans are, and that's what he does. He focuses
I'll
on his
say it
fan
to you
base.
again. How you think he knows it? Branding. Branding. And what he did, and see, in the branding, see, that's why I said it's involved. We get in details. When a person gives you their email address, you have to give them a reason to want to. See, one of the things that Ryan was doing that was very interesting, because Ryan was at the place where it was changing in terms of for the artists coming over into this media we're into now and introducing to the people a new way to get music. He was right there in that period where Ryan was able to brand them into a philosophy, how we're going to be orientated into this new media thing. Let me lead you into it. And then Ryan was telling artists information that he would give them concerning his formula and what have you. So then what Ryan turned around and did, he turned around and created a group, a brand. They were called the Renegades. And who the Renegades represented, they were going to bring this change about in music. So he gave his supporters a purpose, a brand. He gave them an identity within his brand. You follow me?
Yeah.
You follow? Yeah. And so, and they follow Ryan. And then Ryan, I mean, interesting enough, what Ryan did to be a member and to be able to shop and to get that information, you had to become a member of the Renegades. And that was a cost of maybe like $13. But for $13, you got a free download of a CD or maybe 13 cuts. So from the layman's point of view, and it's like, you got something. You just didn't give up. You just didn't give up your $13.
Right.
But what he did when he shot that to you, he gave you a reason to give him your email address. Okay.
Yeah. And
so Ryan, so Ryan built up his audience. He built up his supporters. They supported Ryan, and he was able to merchandise. And Ryan made $250,000 off 11,000 followers. He used this data system that he could tell you every person's where they lived, to ever spend a dime with them, and how much they spent. So his formula is sophisticated, but he's doing what we all got to do, what you called earlier. What did you call it? Data what? Say it again.
Data analytics.
Exactly. Same thing. But Ryan was doing as an independent,
Yeah.
So doing what we all need to do. I mean, we were looking at Ryan like 8 to 10 years ago. And this branding, when I got cut in with these branding guys and content marketing guys, it was I had a meeting with a guy because at the time we was pitching reality shows. And he said, I'm gonna hook you up with this guy, man. And I was gonna have a conference call with this guy. And sometimes in the business that we're in, if you know what somebody else is doing and you can kick an idea to them that can make both of you some money, you got a partner. You know, so I'm like, what can I talk to him about? What can I talk to him about? And I was looking everywhere and I couldn't find anything. And then I happened upon this movie called The Greatest Movie Ever Sold. And it was the same guy who did Super Size Me. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, so what he did, he was going to make this movie. So he went around to all these corporations, and he said, for a certain price, I will be sure that your product is shown in my movie.
Wow.
For $1 million, you can be the one to say, so-and-so, POM presents the greatest movie ever sold, because he did go to that company. And but for that $1 million, he had to have he had to be in so many theaters. He had to have so many downloads. And here's the kicker. He had to have 650,000 media impressions. I mean, he had to be in 650,000 places showing up promotion that this thing was going down. And somehow he ended up finding this school in Broward County, and they accomplished it. So when I had the meeting with Zirconi on marketing, I said, hey, did you ever see the movie? And he said to me, he said, no, Mike, but I heard about it. I said, well, tell me this. I always thought that the businesses and advertisers and what have you, they got with you after you were established. Like Pepsi with Michael Jackson, you know, they smart. He said, Mike, it used to be that way. He said, today, they're the ones looking to discover the talent, because if they find someone, it gives their brand a new face. And that's why it's important to have your brand clarified. Somebody should be able to go on your website and be able to know everything about you from your website. And if you're getting a call, you already know it's a business call, because they already know what you're about. Things are moving like that now, man.
Michael Bell, thank you, man. We got to do a part 2. We got to have you back on the show. We running
all right,
long
my brother,
time.
brother A, still done.
Listen,
you brothers, man.
This was actually it was very rich. I hope everybody put some pen to the paper. Michael Bell, just give us one last. Give us your final thoughts, man. What would you give to an up and coming artist, an up and coming producer, an up and coming entrepreneur, somebody that has their brand? What information would you give them? Just final thoughts.
When you say when they have their brand?
No, so they're looking to build their brand. That's what I meant.
They're looking to build. You have to start with the philosophy, because how are you gonna know to build? Yeah, that's what you're gonna build upon. So your philosophy must answer the question: why do people need what you have to offer in their lives? Because it's not about you. It's about them. Yeah, it should serve them. Why? How else are they going to be interested? Why should they be interested? So you can't really promote you. You're promoting in your brand philosophy how it serves them. Right.
Okay.
That's good.
And then, and if you do that, the rest will fall into place. You have the sight. You'll see it. You'll see it. I know you will.
Man, Michael Bell, everybody. This is super dope. Can you tell the people how to connect with you? How they can get
I've just come to Facebook. We're just keeping it grassroots. Michael Bell Sr. I mean, I talk about everything on there. I mean, we're interactive over there. We talk about everything, and we go everywhere, and everything is addressed, and nobody's getting upset. And we can get controversial over there, but it's all good. And I love my friends. I love my friends. My friends, it's a certain tone and energy that we have over there. And I talk a lot and communicate over there. So that tone is like prevalent over there, you know?
No, absolutely. I'm about to ask you right now. Man, Michael Bell, everybody. Robert Vaughn, any final thoughts on the show, sir?
No, I thought it was, obviously branding is a pretty extensive subject, but, sometimes if you can just take away 2 or 3 things,
get started
and help move you forward.
That philosophy, get started.
That philosophy, yeah. Then next time you come back and you take take away 2 or 3 more things. But
Yeah,
I thought it
yeah,
was good, and I thought, you know, it kind of helped. I think a lot of people who weren't that familiar with branding probably have a better understanding. And
Well,
that's
see,
what
I
that's what
went
this
so
is about.
far. I went into it to show how it operates and the points you have to get to, but you have to start from the philosophy.
Right,
That's
right,
good.
right. Okay.
Man, well, y'all, we back with another one. This was a banger. This was another big banger. And this is what we do. We provide the content that you guys need. We give you comfort. We give you conversation. We give you information. We give you motivation. We give you inspiration. This is what we all about. So continue to collaborate, because collaboration thrives creativity. And remember to always create, because you're created by the creator. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.